Good morning, fellow Plexers. Today's video is going to help Philip try to recover his Plex server install on his Unraid system. Now, I don't have all the details. I'm chatting with him right now, and this video is going to help him see if he can find his old server that may be deleted, may not be deleted, but his container is new. So let's bring up Unraid. All right, Phil, if I can call you Phil. First thing is pull up Unraid, go to the main tab, and of course your array should be started. Go to the main tab, and now I don't know how you've installed Plex. Hopefully you followed some guides and it's on your cache drive. Now for anybody else watching, you may notice that I only have a single cache drive right now instead of the cache pool. A couple days ago, the Plex container was acting up, and I decided to update Unraid, and then the Docker subsystem would not start, and it took me about 10 minutes to realize that the older SATA SSD I had failed, and once I removed it from the cache pool, everything started up, my Docker system loaded, and the Plex container loaded. So I just used some drives I had laying around a year ago to put this together on my NUC, and I have a 500 gigabyte SATA Western Digital Red coming later today, and a 500 gigabyte NVMe Western Digital Red drive coming. So I'll add the SATA drive first to make a cache pool again, then I'll remove this Sabrent Rocket and put the new WD Red NVMe, all without any data loss, and I'll film some of that for my channel and add it to my playlist. So anyway, Phil, make sure the array is running, go to the main tab, and you see this little square with the arrow coming out of it, and it says Browse, Mount Cache. Well, that's where my cache pool is. Yours might be on your array. I'm not sure how you set it up, and it would have the same thing. So I'm going to browse here first. Oh, let me back up. So I'm not an Unraid expert. I'm a Plex expert. But in order to do this, you'll have to go to Apps, and you'll have to search for Dynamics File Manager and get that installed. Sorry about that. So once this is installed, and just excuse me, just type that out, search for it, install it. There's no configuration if I remember correctly. Then you can go to main and start here if it's on a cache drive or a cache pool. Click the square with the arrow, and that'll show the folder structure. Click into the app data, and here is my Plex folder. Now, a Linux install of Plex is a Linux install of Plex. It's all the same. So if you still have this existing on another device, because you said you had 8 years worth of metadata from your server, but you're new to Unraid, so I assume you moved your server from another device. If this is missing and you still have this on the other device, you can get the container going fresh under Unraid, stop the container, come in here, and move your old server into this location. Linux is Linux is Linux. It doesn't matter if the server was installed under Ubuntu, Debian, Fedora. It's all the same. It was running in a container that's Linux again. So if it was running in a container on a QNAP or a Synology NAS or under Windows, it doesn't matter. Move it in here and then restart your server. And as long as all the permissions, I'm going to skip around here. As long as all the paths match, so let's edit this. As long as all these paths match, you'll be all set. So the only dangerous part is you don't want the Plex server to automatically start scanning until you adjust paths here if you need to. Let me go to a test server on my Synology NAS. So when you transplant a server from one location to the other, and you may have done this already, so you may be familiar with that, you want to make sure that it doesn't scan if this previous path needs adjustment. So the container under Unraid gives permission to see the media, but this still may not be right. So whenever someone's transplanting a server, they should turn off all automatic or timed library settings, save the changes, and maybe do some maintenance, go into troubleshooting, optimize database, clean bundles, empty the trash manually for the libraries, and then shut the server down. Then you can transplant it to wherever you want, and you can start it, and because it's not going to do any automatic scanning, let me get back into a library. Because it's not going to do any automatic scanning, you won't lose your metadata even if the new locations aren't set up in your library. So once it's up and running on the new server, then you go in and make sure you've got valid paths by browsing for the new location and adding it. And you can remove the original one that may not be workable under the Unraid or the new system where you transplanted your media to. So I know we're kind of skipping around, but I don't know the lay of the land fully with Philip yet. All right, so now we're back to the container, and of course the container needs permission to the media, and my system has all my media on my Synology NAS, so that's where I'm pointing the Docker container to. And of course, the LibreCorp or IberCorp YouTube channel helps you set everything up for your additional parameters, which I have to turn on, show everything. So this gives me the hardware accelerated transcoding off the Intel iGPU. This uses half of my 32 gigs of RAM for transcoding, and this is the no health check. So that's where we're going to start, Phil. Let's go back to main. You got to look and make sure you still have this. And if you don't, where am I? If you don't have this, then maybe you can move it in from an old one. But before you move the old one in, let's get Plex going as a brand new installation on Unraid. You don't even have to access it yet. You just need to make sure it's running, which you're already at that step. So kind of rambly, but let me get this out to you and we'll go from there.